All right, so we always talk about the why, and we always talk about the dream and all these things in business. And a lot of times I hear people say, "What is your why or your dream?" Right? And when they ask that question, they almost are acting like it's one thing. And this has been something that probably for most of my career has bothered me, because people would say, "What's your why? What's your dream?" And they were saying it as it's that one component. And I've always been in a battle that a why and a dream was two different things. And so over the last few years, when I'm asking people, I say, "What's your why?" they would give me more of a significant type answer or a philanthropic type answer. And when I would ask them, "What's your dream?" it was always selfish. And so I've come to the realization, it's taken me a long time, but I've come to the realization that there are two separate things, right? And so what I'm going to talk about with y'all today, and we'll do a little bit of feedback and some interaction, but I truly believe there's 5 key components that a person must have, not to be successful, but to be ridiculously successful. To literally go out and create a massive business and have a extremely happy life. And at the end of the day, right, it's about creating success, but it's also about being significant. And that's the two things that 2 of the 5 things do. So real quick, I'll give you my philosophy of what I believe it is. I believe that number 1, you must have a why. I believe you must have a dream. I believe you must have a crusade. I believe you must have goals that line up with your why, your dream, and your crusade. And then I believe in ViSalus, and this wouldn't pertain to every company in the world, but with ViSalus, I also believe you got to have a personal goal. And I got to tell you, this is one that I say now that I used to not say, a physical goal, I'm sorry. And I used to not tell people this, because, and the reason why I say that is because for me, when I got involved in ViSalus, I did not have a weight loss goal. I did not have a muscle building goal. And I still went out and became ridiculously successful. But with the advent of the ViLife, this changed my perspective on it. So now there is something for everyone. So I believe it's extremely important that we all have that physical goal. And what do I mean by that? And I'll dive into it more in a minute. But basically, your physical goal is either going to be a weight loss goal, a putting on muscle goal, or just living the ViLife goal, right? What's the ViLife? The ViLife is just consuming a ViSalus product or more every day. And if we're doing that, then we absolutely can go out and promote something, because not only do we believe in it, but we're actually doing it. And I've always done it, right? But I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know that it was actually the ViLife. I didn't want to lose weight, didn't want to put on any muscle, but I always consumed something, whether it was the ViPack, whether it was a shake, I always did something, and I was living the ViLife and didn't even know it. So let's go back and let's back into them. So we talked about the why, and I'm just going to kind of battle a little bit about what I think about the why. When I think of the why, I think of philanthropic, I think of significance. I think of philanthropic, I think of significance. No matter how many milkshakes we drink, no matter how many Goes Pros, Neuros, no matter how many Neons, no matter whether you drink them, you take them by IV, you crush up the ViPack, apply it topically, or snort it. Can we all come into agreement? So no matter how you consume our products, at one point in your life, at some point, you are going to die. I hope you're 199 years old, but at some point you're going to die. When you die, they're going to put you in a hole, and somebody's going to stand over you, and they're going to say some good words about you, right? And I believe that the words people say is they're given a recap of the chapters that you wrote in your life. Because I truly believe that every single day that we're awake, we open up a fresh page in a book, and today we begin writing the story of our life for that day. And I believe that multiple days come together, and that creates a chapter in our book. And it could be a month, it could be 8 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, but I believe we create a chapter, and we are the ones that write that. And you get to choose what that book says. And so when I believe when we die, someone's essentially recapping the chapters of our life. And when I talk to someone about their why, I ask them, how do you want your book to read? Do you want your book to read that, hey, Bobby was a good guy, made a bunch of money, threw some really wild parties, had a cool car and a cool house. Hey! 6 months later, hey, what was that guy's name? You remember that guy? See, if you're not significant, if you're not significant in life, nobody's going to remember those parties 6 months later. Nobody's going to remember your cool car or your big house 6 months later. But could you imagine that in some way, shape, or form, you impacted that person's life, or you impacted that community, or you impacted our society or our world as a whole, do you know they'll talk about you for decades? Decades. They'll be telling the story of your life for decades. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. People say, well, I just don't know if that's true. Well, let's try it. Anybody ever heard of the Kennedys? How many of y'all know they ain't nobody done nothing significant in the Kennedy family in a long time? Great-great-grandpa did something significant. And nobody else even has done anything significant. He had done stuff, but not a massive impact. But do y'all know, to this day, we still talk about the Kennedys, don't we? Why? Because the story that great-grandpa decided to write of his life, he created a legacy for everyone that went beyond him. If you go into any Kennedy's home, there's a picture of great-grandpa on every wall, in every room, in every house. Because he left a lasting impact. How about the Hunts? Anybody ever heard of Hunts?
Yes.
Yeah, you had their ketchup, right? The Hunts family, they made a
It just registered.
who the Hunts was? She's like, I don't know what the Hunts are. What's a Hunts? And, Hunt's family made a lasting impact. And what about the Rockefellers? Anybody ever heard of the Rockefellers?
Oh, yeah.
You know, these names that we talk about, it just means that someone many years ago brought massive value to someone's life, to the community, to our country, or to the world, right? And so you get an opportunity to go write that book of your life. So I believe that now that you understand what a why is, that it's about being significant, it's about philanthropic, I believe that you got to have that overlying theme. This is the end game. What I'm talking about now, this is end game. This is the long-term driver. This is the thing that's going to drive you long-term. Now, I'm challenged with this because a lot of times I'll ask people what their why is, and they give me their philanthropic ideas, and they give me their significant ideas. And if that's all they had, I personally do not believe that is enough to drive a person to go do the things they've got to do to be successful. Because that's such a long-term goal, a long-term vision, right? That's long-term of what you're wanting to accomplish. And today is right now. So a person goes to work. They work all day with the negative, nasty, naysaying folks that they have to work with because they didn't get to figure out who they work with. Someone picked who you work with, right? It's called a boss. He hired who you're going to spend your time with. You don't get an option. You hang out with these negative, naysaying, nasty folks all day long. And then you go home, you're wiped out, you're exhausted. All you want to do is sit on the couch and watch TV. And then you say, well, I want to be significant to the world. I want to make a lasting impact. Do you think that's going to get the average person off the couch to go do something? Not a chance. Not a chance. Their mind goes, well, tomorrow I'm going to start working on being an impact for the world. Right now I'm going to watch TV. But I don't believe that it'll move them on a daily basis, but I believe long term, your philanthropic, your significant why is what will keep you moving in the right direction long term. Because we all want to be significant. Deep down inside, all of us want to be significant. When we're kids, think about it. I don't know what any of your dreams were when you were a kid, but when you were a kid, you wanted to do something great. Maybe it was you wanted to be Superman. You wanted to be Superman, right? You wanted to go out and save the world. Maybe you wanted to be a firefighter because you saw him put out a fire one time and you just thought the firefighter was like the biggest thing in the world. Maybe you had aspirations of running our country, being the president of our country. We all had these crazy big ideas as a kid. Interestingly enough, if you think about your kid ideas, there was some of them that were very selfish, right, as kids, but a lot of times it was to be something big and important. And I think for me, that was the big thing. I just remember I want to be important. So I said, what are you going to be when you grow up? Important. Think about that. So what I'm sharing with y'all is you've got to have that overlying thing. Let's have some fun with this for a minute. Let's just talk about some whys. And I know that we're having this conversation, and most of you've been around me quite a bit. We've had this conversation before, and I've told you you've got to figure this out. And I'll say one other thing about a why is what your why is right now may not be your why in 2 years. Probably will be. Every once in a while we change. Most of the time, though, whatever your why is now will still be your why in 2 years, but it'll continue to evolve. Not change as much as evolve. It gets more clear. So you may start out saying, I want an orphanage. Actually, what's your why?
It's to have my own orphanage someday, but it's because my whole life I've watched children suffer and got to be alive, and so my whole life that's always been a dream, and this is the first time I've ever seen that could be possible, that I could actually make a difference in those kids' lives.
So having that orphanage, because she's seen children suffer, and now she sees it's possible. And y'all may have noticed, and I don't know if y'all can see it, those of you that's watching from home, but as she said that, she got emotional. And you hear us say all the time, you got to have a why that makes you cry. And that literally makes her cry because she's passionate about it, because it's fixing to be a reality, right? And that's what's so cool, is it's something I'm thinking, boy, I can talk chill bumps. You cry, and you cry, I get chill bumps. But what's awesome about it is that that'll continue to evolve. So right now you hear say I want an orphanage, and here's why I want the orphanage, and probably a year from now it's going to be I want the orphanage, and here's what city or country or providence, here's where it's going to be. And then probably another year or two down the road, it's going to be, I'm going to have the orphanage, here's where it's going to be, and I actually know what area within that. And then a year or two down the road, it's going to be, here's the property that it's going to be on, and then here is my orphanage. Do y'all see how the evolution happens?
Absolutely.
So does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that make sense? Who else? Who else has got a neat why? Anybody else got a why? What you got, Maurice?
Hey, my mom and dad were my real life superheroes, so they have to be on payroll. I have to be able to get them at least $5,000 a month that they can have to do whatever they want. And then I want yes, and then I want to fund youth centers. My best friend was murdered a few years ago by two kids, a 17 and 18-year-old. So I want to be able to give back, impact these youth in the inner city so they have some progressive thoughts and to do some progressive things.
That's awesome. And you know what? If you make an impact, if you're able to pull that off, first of all, with your mom and dad, man, I think that's just admirable. I think that's amazing. I think everyone that has their parents that are still living, y'all are all terrible kids, and you need to go pay your parents. You say, why you pay your mom and dad? Because I was a bad freaking kid. I'm paying them. It's and I don't think she'll see this before it happens, but I just bought my mom a brand new vehicle. And I made a point when I flipped her car at 16 years old and totaled out the car she had just paid for, like literally got the title in the mail the day I wrecked it. And you know, we didn't have much, and so this was a big deal to actually own a car. And I flipped my mother's car at 16 years old, totaled it, destroyed it, and from that day forward, I knew it. I don't know how I was going to do it, but I said, KP will buy every vehicle that my mother ever drives. And I made that a reality, and so I've got her another new one, and I don't know if I bought the right one though, because I seen her post on Facebook. My mom is like so simple. She's just an amazing. She's like the best human on planet Earth. My mom's the best, and she never asks for anything. She's the opposite of that, right? And I seen a post on Facebook, and it's gone now. I don't know how it happened, but on her thread, she put a Range Rover up. My mom don't even know what a Range Rover is, and she put a Range Rover on Facebook and said this would be a good last vehicle. And she know I don't even look at her Facebook, but for some reason I just happened to click it. She had a picture of a Range Rover and said this would be a good last vehicle. And then I went back to show somebody like a week later, and the post was gone. But when I saw it, I had already bought her new car. She don't even know it. The car's already bought, just sitting there waiting for her to come up to the house, and I'm going to give her a new car. But then I'm going, golly, maybe I should have bought her a Range Rover. I feel bad. But anyway, so good stuff, man. And in the inner city, I love that, because this is where things get really significant, right? Because if you're able to pull that off, and you're able to make an impact in these kids' lives, they will talk about you for decades, how you made a change was it Chicago you're talking about? So how you made a change in Chicago. They'll name buildings after you, bro. They'll name streets after you. They'll have parades in your honor. True story. I mean, think about people that have been significant. And I'm saying that not for you to go, yes, I can't wait till I have the parade. No, it's not about that. It's about the fact that you made enough impact on someone's life that they're going to do these things. It's not about you wanting these things. It's about they're going to do these things because of that impact. Awesome stuff. One more?
My short-term why is to retire my mom. And I don't know if we've talked about this before, but in cheerleading and dance and that industry, there's a lot of eating disorders and body image disorders that are associated with it. So when I was in college, I created this thing called Belief in a Box, and it was this box that had all kinds of positive affirmations and things like that in it. And my why, and it just kind of registered as we've been sitting here talking about it, that I already knew this, was that at every single competition, performance, I was going to have that distributed, my Belief in a Box, because there's so many women and men that struggle with body image disorders and eating disorders, and I'm going to help solve that.
That's awesome. Can you start with me? I love that, Casey. And I see you over there getting teared up. Now you're crying.
I don't cry.
But you were just getting teared up. But you were telling that you were just getting teared up. She's trying to be tough. I don't cry. As water's pouring out of her eyes.
I cried.
Maurice, you need to learn how to cry, man. You're about to
No.
And I'm going to change the inner city. I think, man, you better start crying. Good stuff. So, hey, great stuff. I'm glad y'all shared that. And that's what it's all about, right? And if nothing else out of today, that you know, when it comes to the wife, nothing else, hope you remember this moment. I hope you remember seeing people getting emotional about it. And just know that that's what it's going to take for you. And you got to ponder this. Maybe you haven't given it enough thought yet. Maybe, you know, the things you're saying is good, but maybe it's going to evolve, right? So just always ponder this. Figure out what that overlying theme is of your life. Think about what that overlying theme is of your life. And I hope y'all do realize most people spend more time planning their wedding than they do their life.
Wow.
They spend more time planning their wedding than they do their life. Think about that. And if you don't know where you're going, one thing for certain, you're either not going to get there, or when you do, you wouldn't even know you're there. You'll drive right through. Think about it. So number one, you got to have that why. You got to have that why. You got to have that why. Number two, you got to have a dream. You got to have a dream, right? And people's like, what's a dream? A dream is something selfish. I've been waiting so long to say this. It is selfish. I want you to have a selfish dream. I want it to be so freaking selfish that people get pissed off at you. I'm giving you permission to have a selfish dream. And people challenge me all the time. They're like, you can't be selfish. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Let's go ask the million people's lives who's changed in the last 5 years because of my selfish dream. You want to go talk with them and see how they feel about my selfish dream? I'm telling you right now, here's my philosophy. Not only is it okay to have a selfish dream, you must have a selfish dream. Because if you don't have a selfish dream, you ain't going to get off the couch. You are going to go to work with those negative, nasty, naysaying people. You're going to go home exhausted. You're going to flop down on the couch. And if you do not have a selfish dream that moves you, you're going to sit there and watch the people on TV. You're going to sit there and go through the whole process of Judge Judy, Judge Alex, Judge Mathis, Judge Joe Brown, Judge Maybelline, Judge Hatchet. Then you're going to flip over there and start watching the crab catching people. Then you're going to go over there and start watching the tree cutting down people. And the alligator people jumping out of boats with no teeth screaming, Jonah! Jonah! Or,
how does he know about it?
or you have a selfish dream and you flop down on the couch and you're exhausted, you're going to say, no way. I want that. I'm going to get that. Let me get off this couch and let me go serve somebody. Let me go change somebody's life so I can have this thing that I want. And then all of a sudden the crab catching folks and the no teeth folks and the tree cutter downers and all the judges and the 999 repossession shows that are on TV, none of that matters anymore. As a matter of fact, you probably won't even watch TV that often because you're so passionate about getting what you want. You know why people watch TV? Because they don't have anything else in life to do. They don't have any drive. They don't have any purpose. They've given up on their why. They've given up on their dreams. Matter of fact, it won't be long. They're going to be giving up on their relationships, probably giving up on their faith, and probably giving up on their kids. And that's just the way that it is. I'm just giving you all the realities of life. It's a progression of failure, right? And it all boils down to not knowing or not having a why and not having a dream. Your dream has got to be selfish. It's got to be something that fires you up. It's something that when you lay in bed, you think about it, that you don't want to live another day without it, and you go out and you go make it happen and you get it. Has anybody got any of those? Anybody got any selfish dreams? Anybody? What you got?
You know, I do. A few minutes ago, we were talking about the dream that I do want to have the place in the Caribbean and in the mountains. But, you know, for the team to be able to bring people in. That's selfish. But, you know, I started thinking, that's something I've been saying in these last couple of years, you know, reaching 50. So here truly is my selfish one. After getting to my desired weight, if it can be lifted, shifted, plucked, tucked, sucked, I'm having it done.
I'm with you.
Yes.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
So I'm just putting that out there.
Did you add injected?
Whatever.
And I love that. You know what? And I love what you say because that's really funny. But it's so true because I can tell. I've actually heard you say that probably 5 or 6 times in the last 3 months. I think I've heard you say that, not to me, but I heard you say it to other people in conversations, which tells me it's important to you. And is it selfish? Absolutely, because it's all about how you feel. But you know what? In order for you to do that, you've got to go change a bunch of lives. So is it okay for her to get plucked, tucked, sucked,
Shifted,
dumped,
lifted.
lifted, shifted,
Her choice.
injected,
All of the above.
all the above. By her changing hundreds of lives, thousands of lives? Absolutely. Here's my rule. Here's my rule. Your dream has to be selfish. Your dream has to, not that can be, your dream has to be selfish. But the outcome of you achieving your dream must not be selfish. So your dream's got to be selfish, but in order for you to achieve that dream, the outcome must be unselfish, meaning you have to go change lives to do it. Now, if your dream's selfish and your outcome you're looking for is selfish, you're wasting your time. You're going to fail. It's just a universal law. But if your dream's selfish, that's going to move you, and you're going to go out and change the masses. Who else got a big dream? Anybody else? Who else? Dream?
Well, my long term is
To grow hair. I'm with you, brother.
Right
Oh,
here.
yeah. Try to apply it topically. I got 3 sprouts.
I'm getting on that tonight. No, I want a 5,000 square foot house on a lot of land that our family can have houses on the land. You walk out the back door, you see 9,000 acre lake with my fishing boat docked right there. You walk out the front door and you can see the mountains and the beach. And then my short term is my dad is a huge Chicago Cubs fan, and I want to play catch with him and my son on Wrigley Field.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's great.
Awesome. Why are you crying?
It moves me.
It moves you. It means something to you. And you know what? I'm gonna share something. I just watched Bobby. He just shared all the things, all the selfish dreams, and when he got to the last one, he got emotional. Did y'all catch that?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna share with you why that happened. And Bobby knows I love him, and I'm gonna pick on him a little bit because the first thing he told me, yeah, it means something, but he hasn't really given it a lot of thought. He's given it very little thought, but it does mean something. Having the house, and in the backyard having the lake with his fishing boat, and in the front yard having the beach, the beach, right? Very hard to do that. Very hard to have a beach in the front yard and a lake in the backyard. Very difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, very difficult. So that tells me that you've given it thought and you know it would be really cool, but you haven't really dove in there yet. And as you dive in there, when you start talking about that, you'll get emotional as well. Now, what he has given a lot of thought to is Wrigley Field with Pops. That is given some thought to, and that's why that emotion came in there. And as he continues to evolve that thought of having I think he was wanting a family in the backyard. Is that what I was catching? Is it you want to say it again?
Way far in the backyard because it doesn't mean I really like my family. But
I want my mom in the backyard on 9,000 acres in the back corner. But dive into that because and I think obviously you wouldn't have said it if it don't mean anything to you. The first half of that. But I want you to dive into that and really think about that because when your emotion comes out, when you're talking about that as well, then it just got real quick. So what happens, even a lot of times people will give it a lot of thought and they'll design it and they're, here's what I want it to look like, but they don't actually believe it's possible. And if you've got to know what it looks like, how it feels, and then lastly, you've got to know that it's possible or emotion will never enter into the conversation. And we all got to come into agreement right now that when emotion meets action, success is right around the corner, yes?
Yes.
That's why I try to find things to create emotion. Sorry, you don't have hair.
right back at you.
Yeah. Now let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Young lady with lots of hair. if I had hair, I just want 3 strands of yours. I think I'll plug me 3 and put them on there. I'm gonna look beautiful. You're like a mullet, but just hanging down. Okay. What's your dream here?
My dream is to live outside the country, Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, really?
Costa Rica.
Really?
Yes.
So would you live over in Jaco, or would you live over towards Cocoa Beach, or would you live near Tamarino?
Probably near Cocoa Beach.
Near Cocoa
I
Beach.
need to be near the water.
Yes.
You can be
Well,
there.
Papa, have you spent much time there?
I've
So-
been there twice.
Twice. So if Coco's here, Coco's the up and coming area, and right around the corner there's Papa Roosters, right around the bay. So if you're here and here, right around the bay from Cocoa is Papa Roosters, and there's if you stand at Papa Roosters, I think I'm calling them right, and you look up, there's the mountain. There's an incredible subdivision. There's a 9,000 square foot home sitting on the edge of the mountain, and they're developing all of that around that home. And then if you turn out of Papa Roosters, on the flat, there's a real big development right there that's on the water that much more $250,000 homes, multi-million-dollar homes, and it's so funny you're saying it because I'm literally bidding on houses right now, right there, through Will Roadhouse. So Will is our producer for our reality show, and he's also a real estate broker over there. And I ran into him in Cocoa Beach, and he's like, "This is the place you got to buy, Kyle. This is the up and coming one." So we got to talk some more about that. So tell me about tell me why Costa Rica, why the Cocoa Beach area.
Because I love the warm weather. I can't stand the cold weather. I could do without snow. As a child, I never wore shoes. As an adult, I always wear heels. So another
I know you took your shoes off the other way. Was walking the other day.
Yeah.
You took your shoes off and you started walking barefooted.
I know.
I said, this girl likes to walk barefooted.
So I love shoes. I love heels. I want a closet the size of a house that has nothing but shoes. And inside of it, I want a big jacuzzi, huge jacuzzi bathtub.
Inside the closet?
Yes.
That's awesome. So you want to lay in the jacuzzi while somebody puts your shoes on?
Well, I don't want anybody wearing my shoes, but
That's awesome.
yes.
That's awesome. And you've been over to Costa Rica a couple times,
Yes.
and you've spent time around Cocoa?
A little.
A little time around Cocoa, yeah. That's awesome. I can't wait to talk more to you about it because I was over there and I really love the area. I really like that area. I believe it's going to be the next Jaco. So Jaco is already developed and grown, and I say that I'm not that smart. Will, because he's got his thumb on the pulse, he told me, he said, Cocoa is where you've got to put your money because that will be the next Jaco, and the ones that are into Cocoa right now will benefit massively moving forward. And if you don't want a big house, they've got a lot of the high-end condos. There's two different high-end condos that they have right there in Cocoa that they built out to. So there's some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I've got to have a big house. I come from a big family, 7 of us, 5 girls, 2 boys, so I have to have the space because I want everybody to come, so I have to have it.
Well, when your dream's big enough, you figure it out, right? Y'all know what Nick did. Nick needed more space, but he wanted a condo in Grand Rapids, but there wasn't enough space. So he just bought 2 of them and had them and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't remember the exact amount because once he bought them, when he bid it on and bought them, it was supposed to be really easy to throw a staircase in to connect the two because he bought one on top of each other. It's supposed to be really easy to throw a staircase in, so he bought them. Once he bought them, he realized, or then the contractors told him that it was impossible. It couldn't be done because the structure, they couldn't cut a hole in it because the whole building would collapse. So he ended up having to have it all re-engineered, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to cut a little hole to put the staircase in. But guess what? When your dream's big enough, you go make it happen. And if you ever get a chance, you need to go up there. It's an amazing place. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. The vision that him and Ashley had that they put together, that because they wanted more room. When you said it, made me think about it. They wanted a condo, but they wanted the penthouse, but they wanted more room. So you just buy 1, buy 2, buy 3 or 4, connect them together, buy the whole building, and just drill holes through all of them. Good stuff. Awesome. One last dream. Any other dreams?
I have a couple, but my shorter term dream is to buy a big spot of acres where I grew up in my parents' subdivision, build a beautiful house on it with a hot tub and a pool that goes down to the waterfall into the lake.
So a pool and a hot tub, and there's a lake behind it.
Yes.
So would it just be a normal pool, or would it be like one of those infinity pools that look like it's poured out into the
An
ocean?
infinity pool.
That's
So
funny.
just kind of I want it like all stair step down, to where it just looks like no matter what spot you're in, it just looks like it floats down.
I love seeing pictures of people sitting in the infinity pool, and you look behind them, and it looks like the world comes to an end behind them. It's just so cool. It's like, well, what are they in? And you start thinking, is that Photoshop? You're like looking at all of it. I was going to do an infinity pool at my house, and but I parked my boat in the backyard, and so we decided if I did an infinity pool, it would look like the pool was flowing into the boat, and I would wake up every morning in a panic thinking my boat was sinking. So it's like, remote! Good stuff. So we know that we got to have a why. We know that why has got to make us cry. We know that it's got everything to do with philanthropy, right? Philanthropy, which means that it's a philanthropic passion. We got to have something that's significant, and then we got to have a dream. That dream's got to be selfish, and it's okay for it to be selfish. And not only is it okay, it's a must that it's selfish. Let's move on to the third one and my favorite one. This is my favorite. I love the why. I love the dream. But this third one is the magic, and most people don't even understand this. Most people in business don't have any idea what this even is. It happens sometime, and they don't even know why it happens. But we crack the code. We understand what it is, why it is, and as long as you understand what something is and why something is, then you can actually teach it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, and that is the crusade. So you got the why that's emotional, that is that's significant, philanthropic. Then you've got the dream that's selfish, and then you've got the crusade. And when I say the word crusade, first thing that pops to my mind is anger. First thing that pops to my mind is mad. It's pissed off. And people's like, golly, that's impressive. Well, here's what I found. Most people, like everybody, are moved by something that disturbed them. So something that made them upset. I mean, think about in your lifetime. Forget business for a minute. And you go all the way back to your childhood. If someone dissed you or someone made you mad, it would anger you, yes, and it may anger you at them or it may anger you at the situation, but you would do something to prove them wrong. If someone told you you can't, you're going to go show them you can. And I call it, and for years I called it the Huckleberry effect. And I think the reason why I did it was a Western movie at one time, and I can't remember the guy's name, Doc Holliday.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Tombstone? And I'll never forget, Doc Holliday says, "I'll be your Huckleberry." And from that moment on, when I was watching that movie, I said, that's what it is. They're my Huckleberry. So when someone says, you can't, oh, you're in one of them daggone pyramid things, you're going to go broke, and blah, blah, blah. You're my Huckleberry. I'm fitting to prove you wrong. It don't mean that I'm mad at them, don't mean even dislike them. I'm absolutely pissed off at the situation, and I'm going to go make them eat their words. I'm going to change their outlook on everything. You better not get into one of them triangle things. You're probably going to end up with a garage full of milkshakes. I'm going to prove that person wrong. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It don't have to be a person either. I had a company one time that said, didn't know what I was doing. I was a loser. I was going to lead everybody to absolute total failure. I can't even think of all the nasty naysaying things that they said about me. Probably not the smartest thing to do, considering we went out and crushed $1 billion in the next 36 months, and probably wouldn't have. Probably would have not done nothing but just kind of piddled around a little bit because I didn't need the money. But Nick Sarnicola said this one time. He wasn't the first to say it. I heard it before, but he said something, and I've stole it from him and said it over and over. When a bear is in hibernation, do not poke that bear with a stick.
Nothing.
When a bear is sleeping, leave him alone. When a bear is sleeping, leave him alone. The worst thing you want to do is go over there and poke that bear with a stick and prod that bear. Do y'all know what happens when you poke a bear with a stick when he's sleeping? He wakes up and he eats you. He eats you. Like literally wakes up and eats you. So what I tell people is that crusade I'm talking about, that is the thing. It's almost like they're poking the sleeping bear, and you're going to wake up and you're going to go prove them wrong, right? So it's vital that you have a crusade. A crusade can be something short-term or long-term. And I can go back through the history of business, and I can show you example of example of example of example of example of example. Businesses that became great. It was about a crusade. I can walk you through it with Apple. I can walk you through it with Microsoft. I can walk you through it with Dell, Michael Dell. I can walk you through it in the insurance industry, starting with Art Williams. I can walk you through it with Hubert Humphrey from the insurance business. It's all about, and I can go to 1,000 different ones. It's all about somebody saying or doing something or a situation that pisses you off. And then you go out and you go develop a business, or you go prove them wrong by what they said. Let's think about Visalis. What's the tags we put on the front of a BMW?
Told you
Why
so.
would we put "told you so" on there? Because someone, we know without a shadow of a doubt, someone is going to tell you you can't. Someone's going to tell you you're going to fail. Someone's going to tell you you better go drive that daggum Saturn. You better drive that Saturn and stop thinking about crazy BMWs. Them things are fake. They're probably blowed up air BMWs. They're probably not even real, right? They say all kinds of dumb stuff, and then you go out and you prove them wrong, and you put a tag on your car that says, "Told you so." You've got to have that crusade, and everybody's crusade is going to be different. Your crusade might be the last person you talked to that told you were dumb for doing this. You know what? You should have never quit your job as a school teacher. That's the craziest thing ever. What are you going to do for a living now? What part did you miss? I was selling milkshakes. But do you understand what I'm saying? Your mom. It could be a family member. And listen to me, this is important. Anger, when I say it's anger, it doesn't mean you're angry at them. And this is the hardest part for people to understand. Some of my best friends have been my huckleberries, have been my driver. Some of my best friends have been my huckleberry and have been my driver. It doesn't mean I dislike them. It don't even mean I'm mad at them. I'm just mad at the situation, and they are going to eat those words they said. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be your mama. Who else has got a huckleberry?
I have been a school teacher for 17 years, and my passion is with children and changing lives. And I have a principal who has come to me and shared that I need to be prepared because there's going to be issues with public relations, because parents say that I'm only there for the short term and I don't care about their children and they're not going to get the education that they want. And I'm just there until I can retire with my sons.
Gotcha.
And that makes me very, very angry, and I'm sad, and it bless their hearts.
Absolutely. So man, you take that anger, and you go on and retire, and then you continue teaching children because
Yep.
you want to, just not there. Go create your own school and teach children and change children's lives. Let that be your fire. I love it. Who else got a crusade?
I had a company that tried to jeopardize my livelihood, so now I have to build my organization bigger than their entire company and put more people in BMW.
Absolutely. I can tell you've been around me for a little bit because that's one of my favorite lines is go, what company is it? Oh, so your whole company is smaller than my smallest leg. Really?
Yes, sir.
I have fun with it. But it's true. We did it yesterday. There was somebody we were doing a three-way with, Casey wanted me to do a three-way, and this guy was like real adamant about his company, and they've done 20, whatever it was something, 4 billion. I was like, no, they haven't. And she goes, how do you know? I said, just Google. I said, just go in and type their name. I'm not going to call it out on camera, but just go type that company's name and say sales. And she Googled it. There it is, press release, go down. Man, they haven't done $1 billion. They'd have to, at the rate they're going right now, they'd have to be around for 20 years before they're going to ever do $1 billion. And I kept looking, so I went and looked at the numbers. Me and Casey looked at it, and I said, Casey, do you realize their whole company, based on what they report, this is the company report, what they report as a company, as a company as a whole, as a global company in countries, my business, my downline is larger, I do more volume per month than their entire global company does. I said, why don't you get him back on a three-way with me? Y'all see what's happening? And the thing is that dude's been lied to. Because somebody told him they've done how many billions? 4 billion. Y'all starting to get this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody told him a lie. I'm gonna go ahead, I said, if I'm doing enough to get him on the phone and say, hey man, go Google your company. Let me get your lie straightened out. I don't want you going through life, lying to others, because you're just taking a lie that was told to you. Now you're telling other people lies. So anyway, make sense?
Yes, sir.
I was going to use that. Oh, I was talking about your point. I love that, man. You want to go build a daggum business bigger than their whole company.
Yes,
Take it
sir.
another step. You want your smallest leg to be bigger than their whole company. Come on.
Okay, come on.
Matter of fact, your waiting room ought to be bigger. Your waiting room ought to be bigger than their whole company. Monthly. That's like when people talk about being it's like, my mentor is a billionaire. Congratulations. Is he one every month? Because there's a whole lot we got to talk about. We've had that conversation before. It's not to be a millionaire. It's when you're a millionaire monthly. That's when you got something to actually talk about. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be saying that publicly. That's why some people are like, I'm a millionaire. Shh, don't tell nobody, man. I wouldn't say that publicly. That's embarrassing. Unless you want every month, you ain't got to talk about it.
I'll share mine real quick. I have people that right now, more outside the company, but inside, I'm being watched very closely with my future here.
Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you right now that I wake up to that every day. Will she be able to do it again? And not only will I prove I can do it again, it's going to be bigger than it was prior, but just me and my husband, not with a partnership. So that is huge. Literally, it slaps me every morning.
I love that. That's awesome. The interesting component, one of my massive drivers in the past was naysayers in other companies and people that I admire, friends, right? And I think the first time it was reality with me is one of them was, it wasn't even that I was going to fail. He's just like, dude, you're with the wrong company. I'm going to do this so much faster than you. You know, I'm with the right company. You're with the wrong company. You know, our magic pill, potion, lotion, tree bark, whatever, you know, you fill in the blank. It's so much better than yours, and our comp plan's better than yours, and our blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you shouldn't have poked a sleeping bear because you was about to get ate. And I just went on out there, and here, let's backtrack. So today, 5 years. So this was in 2010 when this statement was made. 5 years later, and we could actually go into 1 year later, but I'm going to go 5 years later because this is very significant. 5 years later. 5 years later for him, my taxes. This is cool, and y'all know I take all the deductions I can. I paid taxes just on not any other of my income, just to my sales income. My taxes that I paid to the IRS last year was twice what he made in his entire company. Y'all follow me now?
Wow.
Yeah.
Y'all getting this?
Yes.
It wasn't. I didn't just want to whoop him. Y'all ever heard you got to? Man, I want to kick him when he was down. It's like I want to whoop him, kick him, step on him, and I make sure he knows. It's like, don't ever tell me you're going to do. Don't ever call me out like that because I love him. I take him fishing. He's in another company. I'll take him fishing. I don't care. But my taxes, what I actually get taking all the deductions I can take. The check I wrote to the IRS was twice as much as he makes in income in that company. That's called told you so. Y'all seeing this?
Amen.
Let's move on to let me quick recap. So you got to have the why, and the why's got to make you cry. The why's got to be significant. The why's got to be philanthropic. You got to, Casey, you are proud of me in that word, ain't you? You got to have that dream, and the dream's got to be, not only can it be selfish, it must be selfish. Y'all with me?
Yes.
It's got to be, I'm going to take this a little deeper on dreaming. A dream is emotional. A dream is emotional. I want y'all to remember that. A dream is emotional. The why is emotional, and a dream is emotional. Then you got to have your crusade. Your crusade is emotional as well. The emotion is anger. It's mad. It's pissed. It's I'm going to told you so. You're going to find out. You're going to see, right? That's what that is. I'm going to drop this in there. 99% of the time, that's what it's going to be. 1% of the time, it could be over the top, extraordinary amount of happiness. This is an oddity, but I can't deny it because it is a possibility. Give you an example. 3 of my buddies in Visalis. One of them's all the way down to the bottom of the business, and he's an ambassador. And then 2 of my buddies are above him, and they're both 1-star ambassadors. So the one at the top's a 1-star, the one underneath him's a 1-star, and then the guy at the bottom is a ambassador. I think he's an ambassador. He is an ambassador. He's on a 2-star run. These 2 guys above him are now on a 2-star run. And together, they've all got together, and it brings them extreme happiness. Not just happiness. It brings them overwhelming, extreme happiness to all hit the rank of 2-star together and cross stage together because they started together and they want to do this together, and it's extreme happiness. This is that oddity. This is that 1% of the time that your crusade can be overwhelming joy, overwhelming happiness, okay? That is a crusade as well. And all 3 of them are on a mission to go out and do this. Now, the 2 above, what they don't know is the one below, he's on that crusade too. But that is not his crusade. That's his mission. His crusade's a little different. He's at the bottom. His crusade is to make sure he goes 3-star while they're trying to go 2-star. Because he's a beast. And I work with him a lot. And I poke him. And y'all find out I do this. I poke people. I poke them and say, really? You're just going to be 2-star and y'all just going to kumbaya? You ain't no loser. You're a winner, man. How could you be down here at the bottom and let the people above you beat you to 3-star? Have you lost your mind? Man, you need to get fired up. I wouldn't let my upline beat me to nothing. I didn't let Nick beat me. That's what he's doing. He's on a dead set mission to go 3-star, and they all love each other, right? But their crusade's to do it together. His crusade's to go, whoops, I did 2 and 3. Let's go. Come on. And, So 2 of them are on absolute happiness, and the one at the bottom is on absolute happiness as well. But I poked and prodded him enough to create a crusade around getting 3 done ahead of time. That makes sense, y'all?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I put that in there. Let's move on to the next thing, which is goals. There's a whole training on goals, and I'm not going to go all into it, but I will tell you that your goals have got to line up with your why, your dream, your crusade. The biggest mistake I see people make in life is they have a why, they have a dream, they have a crusade, and their goals are going that way, and their dream is over here. It's like, hey, listen, you are out in left field. Your goals have got to line up. Let's talk quickly about goals. First of all, goals are mechanical. If a dream and a why if the dream, the why, and the crusade is emotional, then the goals must be mechanical. If that's emotional, goals are mechanical. What do I mean by mechanical? They are time stamped, meaning there's a beginning and an end to a goal. They're documented, or written, or posted. They're documented. I like saying they're written. They're measurable. They're generally rank-based, volume-based, or income-based.
Event-based?
Could be an event-based, yeah. Those could be an event-based. That's a good one. That'd be the timeline, right? That'd be more of a time. So it could be you could have a daily goal, a weekly goal, a monthly goal, a yearly goal, or you could have an event to an event goal, and you need all of these. And the last thing about a goal I'd say is this: it's got to be achievable yet challenging. And this is a problem a lot of people have. They set a goal. You actually watch this happen. How many EPS are you going to put in the next 12 days? Boom! I didn't ask for your dream. How many EPS are you going to put in the next 12 days? What's that number? I want your real number. I don't want your fake number. I want the number you're going to do, not what you want to do. And all too often, people still get confused, and so they give me their dream because they haven't made can't find the difference between their dream and their goal. And if you don't know the difference between your dream and a goal, you look funny in life. I'm just going to tell you right now. And once I tell y'all this, y'all go through life and you'll look at people differently. Have y'all ever tied like a string to a cat's tail? No, I haven't either. But if you did, I mean, this is what I envision. Have you ever seen a cat chase their tail? Yep. So the reason why I ask that is I assume, and I've never done this, but if you tied something to a cat's tail, it would probably make them chase their tail around the circle, around the circle, around the circle. But if you've ever seen a cat do that without something tied to them, just chasing around the circle, people that don't know the difference between dreams and goals, that's what they look like going through life. Think about it. And now that I've told you this, you will identify them. You'll see them. They're just out there running circles and they're not going anywhere. They're working their guts out. They're just not going anywhere. It's because they don't know the difference between dreams and goals. The way a person goes in a straight line is they have their dream, their goals line up with their dream, and they're going one direction at all times. They don't deviate, they don't do U-turns, they don't do circles. They're moving in the same direction all the time. That dream's got to be written, that dream's got to be time-stamped, that dream's got to be challenging yet achievable. Challenging yet achievable, meaning it's something you can achieve. But it's got to stretch you. But it's got to be, what's the last word? Achievable. Achievable. So y'all saw that recently with the EPS, and then I had to go back again and go, okay, y'all gave me your dream numbers after I asked you for your real numbers. This is your one shot. Give me your number. Give me your real number, the real number, and I appreciate you wanting to help. What's your number? Your real number that you're going to own that I'm going to go do. Make sense, y'all?
Yes.
So goals are important. Goals are mechanical. Goals have got to line up with your crusade. Goals have got to line up with your why. Goals have got to line up with your dream. The last one I'm going to talk about in closing is your physical goal. We all have to have a physical goal, whether that's to lose weight, whether that's to put in ViSalus. We have to have a physical goal of putting on lean muscle, losing weight, or just living the bio life. But we must have to have one. Why? Does anybody know why? I'll help y'all. Because you're going out and asking someone else to have a goal. And you can't ask someone else without having your own, or you're what's called a fraud. a false prophet, whatever you want to call it, right? And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that you're being fraudulent because you're asking someone to do something you're not doing. And that, I'm going to be honest with y'all, this was a massive, massive challenge with me. And I think, Casey, I think I've had conversations with you about this, and I had conversations with people in the past 5 years about it. It was a big deal for me because I felt so fraudulent. I felt so fraudulent saying, you need to get on a challenge and lose 10 pounds, or you need to get on a challenge and put on 10 pounds of lean muscle. And I look at me going, I ain't on no challenge. And so then I would go try to do some kind of a challenge that I didn't want to do just so I wouldn't be a fraud. And I battled with this. And I'll never forget the moment I heard Blake Mallon say, ViLife. And he says, ViLife is where you consume a ViSalus product, a minimal of one per day. And I'm just like going, game changer. I'm not a fraud. I do that, right? I mean, this is something I do. Even when I'm traveling, it's something I do. It's, because it's hard for me when I'm on the road all the time to consume shakes and consume cereal because I'm lazy and I don't want to go chasing milk. And when I'm on the road, it's tough. But I consume my BiPAC. I consume my Go. I do consume shakes when y'all make them for me when I'm out and about, right? I hope you are sitting there going, we haven't made college shake. We made college shake. Oh, yeah, no shakes. Does that make sense, y'all?
Yes.
So quick recap, and I want to bring this to a training because I don't want to take this training any longer. Quick recap. Quick recap. Number one, you've got to have a why. Your why's got to make you cry. It's got to be philanthropic. It's got to be something to do with significance. How you're going to impact the world. That's your overlying theme. That's the thing that's going to move you, drive you long term. Then you've got to have your goal. You've got to have your dream. Your dream is that emotional thing that is selfish, that you want, that's going to move you mid-term. Long-term why, mid-term is the dream. When I say mid-term, something you can accomplish in the next 1 to 10 years. 1 to 10 years. And then you've got to have the crusade. The crusade is the thing that's going to drive you. I'm going to tell you right now, the dream will help get you off the couch. The crusade will cause you to flip the couch upside down, turn the TV off, hit the TV with a baseball bat, whatever you got to do to get out of that house and go crush it. The crusade is what will move you. I'm telling you right now, if you want to go blow a business up, have a crusade. And I mean a real crusade, something that's firing you up. You'll go blow this thing wide open. You'll run to Ambassador so fast, people will be wondering what happened to you, right? I'm just telling you right now, the crusade is the one that's going to absolutely jack you up and make you go tear this thing down. And by the way, let's talk TV for a minute. I challenge y'all to do this. I've done this several years ago. Turn the TV off and don't turn it back on for 2 years. And when you turn it back on, number one, you're going to be wealthy. Number two, it'll be the same dumb people saying the same dumb stuff. It's like they stop mid-sentence and pick back up 2 years later. Nothing changed, right? Go back and watch news from 2 years ago. Turn on CNN, constant negative news. Turn it on from 2 years ago. It's the same dumb people saying the same dumb thing as they're saying today. They're just inserting different names. And yeah, but we got a different president, okay? Go turn the TV on, and you're going to go they're going to be saying the same dumb thing, and they're going to have a different name in there as the president, and then they're going to be saying the same dumb thing now, and it'll be a different name. But how we waiting on the president to change the world? You're going to be waiting a long time. Because I don't care who's president. We go dig John F. Kennedy up. We can go wake Abraham Lincoln up. We can get Reagan. We can get Clinton. We can get Obama. We could even go get Ross Perot, who was going to do it one time. But bring them all. We can make them all president. Y'all know there's nothing going to change for you. We can go get all of them. The only person going to change your life is you. The only person that's going to change your life is you. The only person that's going to change your life is you. I love my government, but my government is not going to change my life. You are going to change your life, and you're the only one. There's no other factors in this world that's going to change anything but you. You can't control anything but what you can control. The moment you realize that your why, your crusade, and your dream, that's going to be the three components that will allow you to change your life and change everyone else's life. It's going to allow you to go impact a person. It's going to allow you to impact a community. It's going to allow you to impact the city. It's going to allow you to impact the inner city. It's going to allow you to impact a state, a country, and a freaking world, all because you know why you're doing it. You have a dream that's selfish that you can't live without, and somebody has pissed you off. And you go prove them wrong. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's go crush it.